Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. Now in this one we're going to be looking at solving Game Week 4 dilemmas. Before we get into it, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. So let's look at the first dilemma. Okay, first up we've got Alexander Isak. He has been sold by over 500,000 FPL managers. Now, he's managed 1 goal, 1 assist in 3 games. He's got 5 points in Game Week 1, 2 points in Game Week 2 and 9 points in Game Week 3. Now, I think the reason he's probably being sold is to generate some funds. The likely move, or the most popular move that I'm seeing, is Alexander Isak to João Pedro. That obviously gives you some funds to upgrade a midfielder. Presumably people are looking to get Salah in. So it's probably an upgrade from someone like Saka, who hasn't got the best fixtures in the next 2, up to Salah. So in that respect, I do get why Alexander Isak's being sold if you're using him to generate funds. I do understand that. However, objectively, I don't think that you should be selling Alexander Isak if the only reason is that you think he hasn't done well. Newcastle haven't looked great, don't get me wrong. They've looked pretty poor in all 3 games so far this season. But Wolves away is one of the best fixtures right now. We've seen that Chelsea put 6 past Wolves. So they're definitely there to be got at. And if there's going to be goals for Newcastle, then Isak will be involved in some regard. So like I say, I do kind of get it if you need to generate funds, and João Pedro obviously looks like a great option right now. So does someone like Wissa, although his fixtures aren't the best for the next few either. But like I say, if you are just selling Isak because you think he hasn't done well, I think you can wait at least a week, maybe 2, before doing that, because I think the Wolves away fixture is a very good one. Anyway, on to the next one. Okay, next up we've got Anthony Gordon. He has been sold by over 200,000 FPL managers. Now, again, very, very similar to Alexander Isak, to be honest. If you're using him to generate funds, which you probably aren't, to be honest, he's not particularly expensive, and it's not like there's a João Pedro that you could go to generate the funds, although someone like Rodgers, Semenyo are great, don't get me wrong. But again, I don't think Gordon's been particularly bad. Newcastle have been bad. But again, this next fixture is pretty good for Newcastle, to be honest. I imagine a popular transfer is potentially Gordon to someone like Luis Diaz, which I kind of get because Liverpool's next few fixtures are good. But Diaz's minutes could be a little bit iffy as there is Champions League around the corner. Liverpool have a game in the Champions League between Game Week 4 and Game Week 5. So it'll be interesting to see how Slot rotates his forwards, rotates the likes of Jota and Diaz. But again, yeah, if you're just selling Gordon because you think he's not done well, then I don't think that's the play personally. I think you can definitely wait a week. I'd give him that Wolves fixture. I think it is a good game. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Gordon. I probably wouldn't sell him unless you are going down to generate some funds. Okay, so this is one we kind of just talked about a little bit, but Diogo Jota, he's also been sold by over 200,000 FPL managers. To be honest, I can't really see any good reason for selling Jota this week. I get that his minutes going forward might not be the best. Well, we don't really know, I guess. But there is some kind of jeopardy around his minutes, given that there's Champions League football coming up for Liverpool. But I can't think who people would be buying from Jota that is better than him right now. A lot of people may be buying Diaz. I don't think Diaz is any better than Jota. So that's just a sideways move that I don't think is worth it. Mbomo's been bought quite a lot recently. I think Mbomo's great, but I'd wait till Game Week 6 for him. Semenyo's great, don't get me wrong, but if you're kind of generating funds, then maybe. But Liverpool's next 3 fixtures are just fantastic. It's on screen there. Nottingham Forest at home, Bournemouth at home, Wolves away. those fixtures are just brilliant. I don't think there's a team with better fixtures. You could argue that potentially Aston Villa have better fixtures. So if you're trying to generate funds, maybe going to Rodgers works. I know that Onana's been brought in a lot this week. I don't like that pick at all. He's obviously scored twice in 3 weeks, but he's basically playing as a defensive midfielder, and his only real threat is from set pieces, although he is very tall, so he does offer a lot of attacking threat. He's definitely not a better option than Jota. He isn't even worth moving the funds down, I don't think. I just think that Jota's good for the next 2-3 weeks. Yes, he could have his minutes managed around Champions League, but Jota is definitely a keep for me. I'm not sure what reason there is to sell him right now. Okay, the next player we're going to look at is Ollie Watkins. Now, he's been sold by over 350,000 FPL managers, and I do kind of get this one more than others. Again, I feel like a bit of a broken record, but if you are selling him to generate funds, then I completely get it. Obviously, João Pedro is there, so you can make quite a lot of funds out of doing the Watkins or Isak to Pedro move, but Villa's fixtures are fantastic for the next 3. Yes, Ollie Watkins' minutes are a worry. He hasn't made it past the 65-minute mark, I don't think, in any of the games. He's also just pulled out of the England squad during the international break. So he clearly has some sort of issue, some sort of injury or knock or something that is not allowing him to play at his full capacity. But I do expect him to keep getting starts. Aston Villa do have the Champions League fixtures as well, so you could argue that he might be rested in the Premier League to start in those. That is a possibility, don't get me wrong, but I still think he gets good minutes in the Premier League. I still think that he continues to start, even if it is early subs, and it's not helped by the fact that when Duran has come on, he's been absolutely fantastic. So Duran could keep getting more and more minutes. Maybe that means that Duran plays in the Champions League and Ollie Watkins plays in the league. We don't really know yet. But I do like these next 3 fixtures for Aston Villa. Yes, his minutes worry me, but again, if you're just selling him because he's been a bad pick, I don't really agree with that. I think that it's worth keeping him for these next few to see if his minutes do improve. Okay, now lastly we have Gvardiol of Man City. He is the highest sold defender this week, and I do kind of understand this one. So last season he was obviously playing this quite high left back, left wing back, left wing at sometimes role, where he was getting in the box, he was just very high up the pitch, very attacking, and he was obviously getting some good attacking returns at the end of last season. He isn't playing in that way this season so far. Pep's using him as kind of a third centre-back, and Rico Lewis is the one that's pushing forward when City have the ball in the opposition half. So he doesn't quite have the attacking threat that he did last season, at the moment anyway. That could all change. We know that players like Walker, players like Stones, players like Foden haven't really been back properly yet. And Pep did mention that things will change after this international break. So we could see Pep and Man City go back to that kind of tactic as such, where Gvardiol is high on the left. So there is potential that he still does have this attacking output that he had last season, but so far he hasn't really had that. The fixtures aren't the best for the next few either. Brentford at home in GAMEWEEK 4 isn't too bad. City have kind of seemed to find a way to concede in the last couple games, even though they haven't been particularly bad defensively. They've only conceded 1 goal in the last 2 games. So I don't think they're all of a sudden this bad defence. The thing is that Brentford is kind of this weird bogey team for Man City, albeit last season they did do very well against Brentford. The 2 after that, Arsenal at home and Newcastle away, obviously aren't the best fixtures. And again, Gvardiol is 6 million. You can get someone like Robertson for that, for example, who has much better fixtures, and the Liverpool defence looks pretty good at the moment. So I do completely understand why you would be selling Gvardiol, as at the moment he's not really got the attacking output that we want from him. But we could see Pep and Man City change their tactics after the international break, so I'd probably give it one more week with Gvardiol. Okay, that wraps up this one. If you did like it, then make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.